Hi, welcome back. Let's talk about how tonight plays into the election in just under 2 months. Has the game changed yet again? Armen Kurdian and Kaivan Shroff are both here on the show. Kaivan had the last word there. Armen, so you mentioned we had this. So we had one debate, one candidate's out. So we had tonight's debate. We've heard talk that there might be a debate with Fox News. The Trump campaign seems to want to see that happen. We haven't had an agreement from the Harris campaign. Should that happen?
I think it absolutely should happen, and we need to have perhaps a third one as well. The entire reason that we have such a long presidential selection process, much as there's granted some people to be subjected to the presidential advertising for so long, is because becoming the president of the United States is probably the single most important job on the planet in terms of the weight that's on your shoulders, the security, economy, being a leader of the free world. And we have not had that vetting process with the vice president, who dropped out of the Democratic presidential primary because she was so incredibly unpopular. And frankly, a lot of our popularity right now is simply because she's not Joe Biden. We definitely need to have more debates. These discussions are very important, very healthy for the American people to understand and really get to see the two presidential candidates vying for this position, to see how they stand on their own 2 feet in front of an audience in a pressure situation.
Well, we looked at the numbers, Kaivan, from the last debate, and then you look at the day that Biden dropped out and Harris was more or less anointed to the convention, and now there has been a shift in the national sentiment in a lot of polls, but it really comes down to the swing states. And we were talking with Fitz about how you appeal to states like Pennsylvania and Michigan and Georgia. We're going to see a lot of focus on those states. So what's the game? What's the plan? How do you appeal to voters in those states? Is it about the economy? Is it about immigration? Or something else we talked about tonight?
Well, I think you saw it tonight, right? I know that the analysis sort of in the lead into this program was that, oh, well, Kamala Harris supporters probably think she did a good job and Trump supporters probably think he did a good job. I think that's oversimplistic, because she took every opportunity she could to be mature, to speak to those undecided voters, to those swing voters when they asked about race, for example. She didn't take the bait and get into a tit for tat with Donald Trump over his many racist attacks. Instead, she said, America deserves better than that. Americans view each other as neighbors. You have been trying to divide this country by race for decades. So those types of answers, I think, really can move the needle. And you saw Taylor Swift come out with an endorsement, right? Because she is one of those old cat ladies, I guess, as Donald Trump and J.D. Vance might say it, who might be viewed as politically moderate, who is going to resonate with the exact type of voters that could decide this election.
Speaking of J.D. Vance there, Armen, that'll be the next debate right now in the books, is going to be J.D. Vance and Tim Walz. And we're going to hear, again, both of these men really on the national platform, aside from their convention speeches for the first time. So what do we get out of a vice presidential debate that we didn't get tonight?
Well, I think we'll get some really good discussion again. One point that Kaivan made, I think identity politics is basically a hallmark of the progressive left right now. I mean, with DEI, CRT, everything, everything revolves around what the color of your skin is and who you sleep with in the bedroom. That is not the case in the Republican Party. And J.D. Vance has actually done a very good job of communicating that position when he's asked questions. You've seen him stand up there and just take question after question after question and field them quite well, frankly. Now, he doesn't have the kind of record to defend that Governor Walz does in terms of what he's done in Minnesota. Does good things, but also he's got a lot to answer for in terms of some of the riots that happened in 2020, and in terms of how he handled COVID and some other things. So I think you're going to hear probably these two guys don't have as much on the line, so to speak, as the presidents. So you find the vice presidential debates tend to be a little bit more relaxed and a little bit more interesting to watch sometimes, even though folks are actually voting for who's at the top of the ticket, not second place.
I'm glad you mentioned Taylor Swift there in the back end there, Kaivan, because I know you wrote about the activist era in the Huffington Post a couple of months ago. But we started with Armen on this one. I want to give you the final word. What do you want to see happen over the next couple of weeks that maybe Vice President Harris isn't doing now that you would like to see her do, or something that she should stay away from?
Well, let's just say hopefully J.D. Vance can come up with a healthcare plan by the vice presidential debate. I will say, I think that Vice President Harris knows exactly what she is doing. She has not made a misstep yet. Like I pointed out, they keep underestimating her. She keeps blowing it out of the water. This is a race against the clock. And so I think going ahead, keeping a tight campaign as they have, and introducing this idea of something new. She called for new generational leadership today, and that is going to be a narrative I expect them to hammer on again and again. That is something that was wildly popular, even both during the primaries of Republicans and Democrats. You heard folks talking about that, and she represents that, and now we have less than 60 days before Election Day.
Well, the short campaign has been something to behold in this one. Guys, thanks for keeping it civil tonight. I appreciate it. Armen, Kurdian, Kaivan, Shroff, we'll see you again soon. Thank you both, and the Final Five is back right after this.